guys, this is Jeremy at the Butcher's Block in Sarasota, Florida. Today we're going to be talking about short loin and boneless strip and tenderloin from Dakota. So this is just kind of your reference point here. This is your short loin, right? You have your strip on the one side and your filet on the other. As you go down, you know, obviously your tenderloin tapers out. You really don't get much of that there. So really the way you would break this down is this section pretty much would be your porterhouse, and then as you come down, now you're getting more into just the T-bone. But we're just gonna use this kind of as a reference, and then I will do a tenderloin and get that steak ready, and then we'll do a couple of different things with the strip when we get there. Okay, so tenderloin. To get started on this, I don't usually do a whole lot with my knife, to be totally honest. I'm gonna take most of this off with my hands because it really just wants to separate on its own. So I'll kind of do that. And then the only other thing, I'll come in with the tip of my knife here and just kind of separate just the top of this chain. And then the rest just pulls right off. It's a great piece of meat. It's really tender. It does have a little bit of gristle in it, so you do want to clean that up. But first we'll just start getting some of this loose fat off of it. And then we can start on this end where this tendon runs really, really thick. Just kind of clean that up, get that out of there. Now we have pretty lean chain here. And this is really, really nice. I mean, honestly, you might not sell a ton of them, but even for yourself, something to take home, you know, cut it up really small, grill it whole. You know, you could use it for tacos, just grill it just like this, eat it as a steak. It's got really, really nice flavor. There are a couple of seams in it. You might have a little bit of chew, but at the end of the day, I mean, this is a really nice piece of meat. So definitely something you can do something with. All right, so now we'll start getting our silver skin off on our tenderloin. And you want to be as clean as possible on this. Flip it over. You got a little bit more silver skin right on the butt up here, so we'll get that off. And then we'll just take a little bit, there's a little bit of gristle that kind of runs down the tail, and I'll just rip that off with my hand. Okay, so that is your whole tenderloin. A couple things you could do with this, you know, obviously take it, tuck the tail, tie the whole thing up. You have a nice whole tenderloin that's awesome for roasting. Not gonna do that today. What I will do, I'm gonna tie up this butt end just so that it cooks up, so that when I do cut them into steaks, they're nice and tight together. They cook up a little bit better. So we got that tied up, you know, so we'll take just a little bit of this butt end face off. We can use that for all sorts of things, steak tips, stew. You can grind it if you want, but you do something with it. Then we can take some steaks. We'll call these metro fillets because they are not from the center. So I'll get 3 of those right there. Your fillets. Then I'll come back around. We're gonna take this tail off. Take the tail off and we'll get 1 steak. This would also be considered a metro fillet because it is not from your very, very center, which is your Chateaubriand. That's what that is. That is the cream of the tenderloin, best part, some of the best meat on the animal. Roast it hot and fast, nice and rare, you're good to go. Really, really easy. So that is your whole tenderloin. Now I'm gonna get into the strip, which is the other side of your short loin here. Now the first thing I'm gonna do before I do anything else is look at the back side of this. And I always like to take off, there's some connective tissue where it sits on the bones from your short loin. Those can be a little bit tough, and when you're working with, you know, super premium stuff and your customers are paying a premium, you definitely want to take that off. So we got that all cleaned up. Now we can start with some steaks here. Again, we will take just a small face, just so that we have a nice clean edge. And then I usually like to cut about 1.25 inches. And then I also like to always put in the counter, I like to do a nice double thick steak. We have a couple of those there. That's gorgeous marbling. And we'll just kind of trim these up just a little bit here. The other thing I like to do is you have this vein of gristle right here in the corner. You'll see it right there. Now, the first couple of steaks, it doesn't make sense to take it out because you're going to gouge your steak and you don't want to do that. But once you get a couple in there, I do always like to take that out. Very tough. You'll be chewing on it for the rest of your life. Just kind of trim those up a little bit. And then there you have your boneless New York strips, case ready, ready to grill, ready to enjoy. The next thing I'm gonna do is Manhattan steaks. So really, I'm gonna come down right to about here, pretty much where your sirloin end is gonna start. So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this tail all the way off. So we're actually gonna go and we're gonna take this whole fat cap off, because the idea is that we're gonna imitate a filet mignon. So it's gonna be super, super lean, fairly tender, but you're not paying that filet mignon price. Okay, so we have all the fat and all the gristle off on this. Then we're gonna cut right down the middle here. You're gonna be left with 2 pieces just like that. So now we can go and kind of cut our Manhattan steaks that are gonna resemble a filet mignon. So again, we'll cut them fairly thick, just like you would a filet. And there are your Manhattan steaks right there. And we'll leave this whole for now in case we needed to portion cut it at a different size for something later. The last thing that we're kind of left with here is your sirloin end on the strip. I actually didn't go quite far down enough. You don't see where your sirloin starts like you do on this end. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and take one more steak off that we can sell in our counter. There we go. And now you can kind of see where your sirloin is starting there. So what we like to do with this here at the Butcher Block, I don't like to put this in the counter for a strip steak, because really you're not getting a true strip steak. You're getting a lot of sirloin. It's not as tender. And you know, I'm not going to rip people off by selling them something for, you know, that's one steak for you know, that's something else and for more money. So I'll come in here. Again, we're gonna do kind of what we did with the Manhattan. We're gonna take all this fat off. And then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna seam out this little bit of top sirloin here. And if it's a good enough size, like this one is, kind of just square it up just a little bit. And I will put that and sell that in my counter as a petite filet. Of course, I could always do it for steak tips or kebab meat or stir fry or anything like that. But that's a nice little steak right there. Then I'll come and do the same thing. There's a big vein of gristle that separates your strip loin, the longimus dorsus, from your top sirloin. So we're gonna take that out because that is very tough, not pleasant to eat. And then we have this here. That's just a piece of the strip. It's really, really nice, actually. You can sell it as a lot of different things if you'd like. Typically here, I will break this down and just sell it as my steak tips. People will use it for kebabs or something like that. And they eat up really, really nice. So I'll just take them, cut them into, you know, good sized chunks, something that's gonna make for a nice kebab. And that's that.